Well, it seems like every great organization has at least one motivating person behind it. And for the Petersen Automotive Museum, that person was Robert E. Petersen, who was a local Southern California man, born and raised near Los Angeles, who founded a publishing empire beginning in 1948.
He started out at MGM Studios when he was probably 18 or 19 during the war, World War II. And in those days, the veteran publicists were of draft age, and they were all drafted into World War II. So the deal was that if you were drafted, you would get your job back when the war was over. So in the meantime, they hired a lot of very young people, like Mr. Petersen. He started out as a messenger, and then he got into the publicity department. He finally went into the Army Air Corps. There was no Air Force at the time. But he never saw duty overseas. He was just stateside. The interesting thing is they gave him a camera and they said, you're going to go up and photograph reconnaissance pictures. So that's how he became a photographer. And then the war ended and he got mustered out in about 46. So he went back to MGM and they said, we're very sorry, but we don't have a job for you because the other guys had come back. So he and a buddy they were all messengers and people from MGM, he and a man named Bob Lindsay, got interested in the idea of cars. And all of a sudden, all these GIs come back and they have all this pay that's been accruing in their little bank accounts and they all want to buy a car. They started a company called Hollywood Publicity Associates. So they got their first assignment was to publicize a car show at the Los Angeles Armory, which no longer exists. So they got this hot rod show, and then they decided that they would create a little pamphlet that talked about what these cars were that you were going to see at the car show. This is 1947. So in 1940, they thought, wow, this is something we could publicize, and maybe there's so many people coming to see these cars, maybe we should start a magazine. That's what they did. 1948, first issue of Hot Rod magazine in January 1948.
The hot rod hobby had no better friend than Robert E. Petersen, who founded Hot Rod magazine in 1948. A year later, he founded Motor Trend magazine, and the rest, as they say, is history. After that, more than 24 magazines of all kinds, for all interests, were part of Mr. Petersen's publishing empire. Today, he's one of the best remembered hot rod enthusiasts, not only for his passion, but for his desire to build an automotive museum, to teach people what came to be, how it came to be, and to celebrate the automotive culture that he helped found.
Robert E. Petersen was a household name because he was the publisher of Hot Rod magazine. And I grew up in Hollywood, and the first subscription I had was Hot Rod magazine, and that impacted my life in a very big way. For me, Pete was otherworldly. He was involved in so many aspects of life that I admired and had such an impact on me that kind of drew us together. And then as time went on, we continued to evolve through the automobile, but our friendships and our social lives were primary, and I just loved being with him. We flew globally with him. We spent a lot of time together, and it was all joyous. He was a very special guy.
Like most sales guys, I met Mr. Petersen at an event. And back in those days, Petersen Publishing had some of the finest suites at all the major racetracks across the country. And our job as salespeople was to entertain our customers there. And for the bigger races, Mr. Petersen would come to town and be there to, I don't want to say hold court, because he wasn't that kind of guy. Despite his wealth and stature, he was just a regular guy. And I believe I met him for the first time at our suite in Daytona, which was just a kind of a passing. And it was a big deal to me because he was a guy that I really admired, knowing that he had started my favorite magazine, which I now work for, which was, also a big deal. He and I really started talking more often about the museum when the subject of the company's photo archives came up because I had moved repeatedly to protect the archives to make sure that nothing happened to them. And I had interest in making sure that nothing ever did happen to him because of all the corporate changes. The last time I had lunch with him actually was about the archives and moving it to the museum.
Having decided to build an automotive museum, Mr. Petersen now had to find a place to put it. Well, one of the buildings he briefly considered when he was moving his publishing empire was this building, an entire city block on the corner of Wilshire and Fairfax that used to be an Orbox department store. Mr. Petersen said this would make a great automotive museum. It's 3 stories, it's a robust building, you can fill it full of cars and not worry about it, and it has an attached 1,000-car parking structure.
He's just a wonderful guy, and Mrs. Petersen and I became great friends, and she and I did a lot of crazy things together. We used to do the interior decorating of all of the sales office buildings. We also had suites at the various arenas in Detroit, Joe Louis Stadium, and we did things like that. Between the two of them, Mr. and Mrs. Petersen and myself, we were kind of a little troika. But Mr. Petersen, he was such a great guy, and Mrs. Petersen was so wonderful. I mean, you know, why would I ever want to leave 2 people that I really enjoyed being with? We worked hard, believe me, there were 12-hour days. I just loved what I did. I loved my work, I loved the people that I was involved with. I thought it was a great industry to be involved in, and I still do.
Mr. Petersen used to have a saying, you could correct somebody's writing, but you couldn't teach them the passion that went behind it. So when we hired writers or salespeople or photographers or anybody that we looked to hire, we hired people who were passionate about the industry and really loved it. It made it a very, very special place because we all shared that bond.
If Margie and Pete walked through the doors today, they would be beaming with pride, because they recognized talent and they were very good at delegating to people that could produce. And I don't think in their wildest dreams they would ever expect to see what we have today. And that makes me exceptionally proud, and proud for them.
Pebble Beach Concours d'Elegance began in 1950 with the introduction of the Pebble Beach road races. This was a street race through the winding roads of Pebble Beach, dodging the trees along the side of the road, and seeing who can get down the avenue more quickly than anybody else. Well, in conjunction with the road race, there happened to be a little car show called Concours d'Elegance. Now that Concours d'Elegance just means competition of elegance. The race was something that you would go to and you would watch and you would follow if you were a genuine gearhead, if you had motor oil going through your veins, if you're really interested in competition. But it kind of left out a larger segment of the population, not the least of which was the ladies and some gentlemen who just weren't interested in racing, but did appreciate beauty. It had this fabulous oceanfront location with a marvelous golf course in front of it, with a lot of natural landscaping. It had a rugged shore. It had everything that a European Concours had going for it. It had a marvelous hotel. It had a place to show off the cars. And it was in a very nice part of the state, a very expensive part of the state where the elite would meet. In a way, it harkens to the European Concours, which frequently were at seaside resorts or famous hotels or other parts of France or the French Riviera or other parts of Europe that were especially beautiful, were especially wealthy and attracted moneyed people with good taste.
For me, the Concours d'Elegance really came into its own after the end of the races. The races, of course, ran from 1950 to 1956, and in 1957 they held a Pebble Beach road race at the new Laguna Seca track. But the Pebble Beach Concours d'Elegance, which of course was set up simply as an adjunct to the road races to show off some of the cars of the road races and also to show some antique cars that some of the people involved in the races had collected, went on even though the races were not there. And it was interesting because it was clear then that already there was an audience for this kind of a car show. The first Pebble Beach Concours d'Elegance, like many other such shows in the US, grew up out of a combination of the vintage car, the veteran car scene in the US, where people had antique cars from the turn of the 20th century that they liked to polish, display, and show, as well as the new cars that were coming in, especially the new cars from Europe, custom-bodied cars and sports cars. And much like the traditional pre-war French Concours d'Elegance and the ones held in Italy, the Concorso d'Eleganza in Italy, they showcased the finest new work of both couturiers and the car designers and builders. So it was natural that the first Pebble Beach Concours d'Elegance followed on that model, but added the point of view of the old car meet. And that was something that they did not done in Europe before the war. It was about 1966 or 67 when you began to see a real shift towards more restored older cars rather than the new cars on display. It also, frankly, coincided with a dip in the popularity of the Concours and sort of the direction of the Concours. And that continued through the late 60s and into the early 70s, and it really was not until 1985, I think everybody agrees, is the sort of defining moment that the Pebble Beach Concours d'Elegance, as we know today, came into being with, of course, the great reunion of the Bugatti Royales, when it was a contest of fashion and the manufacturers and coach builders. The coach builders and manufacturers wanted to show off their best designs and to win prizes. And it was win a prize on Sunday, sell a car on Monday, very much like the old racing adage. And so it was something that people really fought to get into and to win prizes in. Even if you won second or third, the fact that your car was recognized meant a very, very big deal.
So there's a process that Pebble Beach goes through, and they have a selection committee. Then they send you a letter that you have or have not been accepted to Pebble Beach. And that occurs 3 or 4 months in advance. And it happens to many people in many cars every year. So winning Pebble Beach is not an easy club to join. And you don't win it until you're at the top of the ramp holding that trophy in your hand. Because there have been instances where people were chosen for Best of Show, but you couldn't believe it, the car wouldn't start. And it wouldn't go up the ramp, and they couldn't receive the award, and they didn't. And so the next car in line won Best of Show. And that can happen. So until you're there, that's the most nerve-wracking part. And I can still remember I'm sitting in line, there are 4 cars, and one is chosen for Best of Show. And I was so nervous, I was burning the clutch. And the smell, I understand entirely. I know how to operate that pedal, but I was burning the clutch. And my restorer was standing there with me. He said, push that pedal into the floor. And it was very nerve-wracking. So until you get up there, and it doesn't stall, and it doesn't overheat, and you're up there, and you stop, and you get out of the car, and you receive the award, it's not until then you've won Pebble Beach.
Hi, my name is Todd Kaneko. I'm from Huntington Beach, California, and I'm here to present my 1971 Datsun 240Z. I originally built this car back in the late 80s. The original design idea was to retain the overall classic 240Z body shape and design features, with adding a slight touch of modernization. The goal was to keep it clean and simple. Some of the upgrades includes a custom adjustable coilover suspension, the JDM 17-inch Chevron wheels, and adapting of the Porsche 911 Brembo brake package. As for the interior, I wanted to keep it simple with its original vintage nostalgic look. The interior remains relatively neutral with subtle additions of Recaro seats, sparkle amenities, and a full hidden audio system. The engine was modified quite extensively. It's now a 3.1-liter turbocharged, intercooled, and injected Datsun L-Series engine. It's a 10-to-1 motor with a ported head, mild slalom camshaft, and a custom-designed ball bearing turbocharger. The engine makes 480 horsepower at 1 bar manifold pressure. Its design intent was to create a very responsive and reliable street engine. I assembled this engine over 30 years ago, and back then it was quite advanced for its time, but maybe a little antiquated by current standards. However, today it continues to run perfectly fine, and it's still a lot of fun to drive. Well, that's about it for my quick overview. Thank you for letting me present my Datsun 240Z. You guys have a good weekend.
Hi, my name is Jack McLaughlin, and I am the original and only owner of this classic 1972 Datsun 240Z. This is a two-door coupe, fully automatic. Now, looking at the front, we have the original Z-hood emblem, original bumper, chrome wiper blades, a fiberglass front air dam, LED lights, and fog lights. The color of the car is pewter metallic. As we approach the driver's side, notice the original Datsun emblems, color-coordinated door bumper guards, color-coordinated swivel mirrors, and light gray tinted windows. The interior has original black bucket seats, new console, original wood grain steering wheel, aftermarket CD stereo and radio, new door panels, and carpeting. Now, the first time I saw a Datsun 240Z was in the spring of 1972. It was love at first sight. I knew I would be the owner of my own 240Z, and so I started saving for a down payment immediately. Several months later, I signed the purchase agreement and drove off the lot of a very proud owner. It was the first new car I have ever purchased, even to this day. I still have the original purchase and payoff agreements. This car was orange when I purchased it. As you can see, the fuel cap has been chromed, which adds to the accent of the whole car with the pewter gray. The hatch has all new weather rubber seals, chrome hinges, and a chrome hatch strut. The deck has been fully refurbished. I added some aftermarket 16-inch TSW wheels, and also added 4 Z emblems to all the wheels as a personal Z touch. So let's start her up and see what she sounds like. The engine is a Nissan L24 4-stroke spark ignition with 2 SU carburetors, naturally aspired, single overhead cam. This engine has been completely restored with original components, many of which have been chromed to give it a great look. This car has served me well over the years with not any major problems. And I want to thank all of my people who have given me accolades over the years and for the show awards that I've won with my Z. So this is my Z, and thanks for watching and happy driving.
Hi there, I'm Jeff, and this is my 1972 240Z. I'm third owner. The guy I bought it from, he bought it from the first owner in 1976, and he was 23 years old. He's had it until I bought it. And I got it in December of 2020. And the story behind this car was that I found it one day while I was bored, and he happened to live 5 minutes from my house and had been in his garage the last 20 years. He stopped driving it in 91. He was a teacher for about 20 years, so he drove it from 76 to 91. Since then, it's been in my possession. I've been trying to get it in good running condition. That's about it.
What's up? I'm Kyle, and this is my 1978 Datsun 280Z. It's Porsche Miami Blue coat, and it's, I'm kind of building it like a track build a little bit. It's got some wider stance on some coilovers that I welded on. And I put the 240Z bumpers on it, so it doesn't have those big, giant 280Z bumpers. It's a riot. It's a lot of fun.
Hi, my name is David Larian, and this is my 1932 All-Henry Ford 5-window coupe built by Roy Brizio Street Rods. It has a drop front axle with Lincoln front and Buick rear drum brakes. The 327 small block is punched and stroked to 383 cubic inches, putting out 425 horsepower. The transmission is a Tremec 5-speed, and the rear end is a quick change. The interior was done by Sid Shavers, and the dash has vintage Stuart Warner gauges. The paint is a custom mixed root beer and orange from PPG's Vibrance line, painted by Daryl Hollenbeck. I hope you enjoy it.
Hi, I'm Desi DeSantos. This is the Quadradeuce. It was originally built in 1995 by Summit Racing and Mark Stilo. In 2000, it was redone by Troy Trepanier at Red Rights by Troy. And I picked it up in 2015 from Summit Racing and redid it a little bit, redid the interior, updated the wheels, but pretty much most of it's the same way it's been in the magazines back in the 2000s. The entire build was documented. It's also been on a couple of TV shows. A show called Rides. Joe Rogan actually drove it down the road. An interesting fact about this is I actually won it on eBay. So Summit Racing had put it on eBay and didn't really advertise it a whole bunch. Kind of got lucky and won it. And I've been driving it since. So we've modified a few things so we can drive it on the road, change the headlights, the master cylinder, things like that, so that it's more drivable for long distance.
My name is Troy Ladd, owner of Hollywood Hot Rods in Burbank, California, and today we brought the Golf Coupe out to the 32 Cruise. And basically, this is a newly finished car, just finished and debuted in January at the Grand National Roadster Show. It won the Slonaker Award, it's won the Street Rod d'Elegance Award, it's won just about every award so far this year, as far as hot rods are concerned. And it's a highly, highly modified 1932 Ford Coupe 3-window that's based on the European style of performance. So it's got a lot of European design elements from like the 30s and 40s, like board track cars and things like that. So the body is pretty much handmade. It's been chopped and sectioned twice, and the window's been moved. You can see the cowl and the roof, and even the windshield are all been set in a V, like a V-type formation. The cowled hood has been remade. The handmade grill shell, handmade hood sides, and all of that kind of stuff. You can see there's a lot of stainless steel and rivets, and exhaust runs through the cowl. The chassis is completely handmade with quarter elliptical twin quarter elliptical front springs, quarter elliptical rears. It's got a European Hartford cockpit adjustable suspension that is based on a 30s era design. The engine is a 331 Cadillac that's been completely built, full race specs, 5-speed transmission, quick change, and that's just a quick overview, but it's a really over-the-top, crazy car, 6-year build, and we're pretty happy to bring it out here and show it.
My name is Robert Bistain, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit today about one of the 1932 Ford Roadsters that we built. Over here we've got an all-original Henry Ford steel body sitting on Kugel Components chassis and suspension, 4-wheel disc brake, 4-wheel independent suspension. It's a Chevy small block and an automatic transmission, so it's a pretty easy driving car. At first glance, it looks pretty stock, but it is not proportionally correct. This is one of the more custom builds that we have done to make it look as original, but if you park it next to an original one, you'll see all the differences. This car is about 3 inches longer than a factory Roadster, and it has 3 more hood louvers, so the length extension is in the front end of the car. We also pinched the front nose about 1 inch, and we added 3/4 of an inch to the cowl behind the dash. It still does have a functional rumble seat and a roll pan underneath. We moved the gas tank into the rumble seat. Got a Duval windshield. And I think that's it. And now we're going to talk about the second 32 Ford that we brought to do stay at the Petersen Museum. Over here we've got another all-original Henry Ford steel body 2-door Ford Phaeton. The interesting thing about this car is Ford never built one. In 1932, Ford only built a 4-door Phaeton, and if somebody wanted a 2-door, they would weld up the back doors, but that would make the car proportionally incorrect and very hard to get in and out of the back seat. So this car, we started with an original 2-door Ford sedan, which was a hardtop car, and we built it the way Ford would have built it had they made the car. We cut the top off, we redid the back seat, and we kept the long front doors that Phaeton should have. An original 4-door Phaeton would also have 2 spare tires mounted in the front fenders. The sportier version would not have those, so this car doesn't have it either. Same as the Roadster that we brought, this car also has a Chevy 350 and an automatic transmission, which makes it a very fun and easy car to drive.
Hi, my name is Julian, and this is my dad, Aaron's 1995 Corvette ZR1. The car has 11,200 original miles on it. It has an LT5 V8 engine paired with a 6-speed manual ZF transmission. Producing 405 horsepower, it is a really fun car to drive. While its iconic slant-nose body style and flip headlights remind you of the 90s, it was the peak of automotive performance technology for its day. With a 0 to 60 time in the 4-second range, it is an exhilarating drive. The car is number 290 of the 1995 model year. It has an Arctic white exterior and a black leather interior. It was purchased at Scott Irvin Chevrolet in Valencia, California in February of 1995. GM, with the help of British carmaker Lotus, developed the LT5 engine. It is a modified 350 cubic inch or 5.7 liter Chevy V8. What made it special was its 4-cam, 32-valve, and aluminum block design. It was the most powerful factory Corvette engine in a long time. In fact, the engine was manufactured by Mercury Marine due to their expertise in creating aluminum engines. The car also features an engine power key, which allows for normal or full power. Overall, the ZR1 is a fantastic car.
Hey, this is Teddy Denti from Naples, Florida, and I'm happy to be showing you this 1994 Ferrari 512 TR in classic Rosso Corsa, the literal translation of that being racing red. One of the unique features of this vehicle is the upgraded wheels, just to give the car a little bit of extra glitz. Another unique feature is the vertical insert in the side strakes. This part came factory standard painted black, but in this particular case, it came from the factory painted red. Similarly, the exterior engine cover plate comes factory standard painted black, and in this case, again from the factory, came painted red, so something again a little unique. We'll open up the engine bay for you so you can take a look at the engine. As you can see, this car has a flat 12-cylinder engine. It also has an upgraded Capristo exhaust, just to give the sound of the car a little extra boost. And we'll make our way around the rest of the car and then head to the interior, where you can see it has a classic tan leather interior. It's actually very comfortable. Another unique feature about this vehicle is the dashboard. As you'll notice, the entire dashboard is tan. Factory standard, the bottom would be tan and the top would be black, but in this case it came from the factory completely tan. So now I'll try to start the car for you and give you a little listen.
Ronnie Kyle. This is my 550 Maranello. It's a 1997 European version. Marquetta Red, or Marquetta Rosa Marquetta. Yeah, gated V12, love it.
Hi, my name is Ray Roberts, and I own this E92 M3 6-speed manual transmission. I have wanted this car for so long for many reasons, one of which being it's, to me, the closest feeling moderate budget car that feels like a GT3 RS on the track. Don't ask me why, but it absolutely does. One of the reasons is because it has a 4-liter V8 in it, naturally aspirated, and so the red line is, I think, 84 to 8600. Absolutely screams. So aside from that, it also just, I don't even know, the way that it handles is phenomenal. I've also got it on Bilstein V16 Damptronic suspension, so it kind of does make it a little bit stiffer when I'm on the track and on the road. Kind of spaced out the wheels a little bit to make it sit a little better. And yeah, it's Perez black, almost blue. A lot of people think that it's just pure black, but absolutely love this car.
Hi, my name is Noel. This is my 2018 M3 competition. This is actually my first BMW. I'm an Audi guy. I love it. I love the functionality of it, the 4-door. Great power. This is basically stock. I have a stage, two-in-one stage, and then just wheels. Basically, that's it. It's awesome. Love the color, but it's kind of, it stands out. Not my first choice, but now I love it.
What's up, you guys? My name is Mark Gilheis. You guys can follow me on IG and on YouTube. I do have a YouTube channel, but I do have a 2018 Austin Yellow Metallic F80 M3. I am on Airlift 3P. I'm on 3-piece AAP wheels, and yeah, just got a bunch of carbon goodies. So yeah, if you guys are into M3 content, follow me.
Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Kevin, and this is my 2016 BMW M4 GTS. I'm based out of Los Angeles, and the reason why I got this car is because I love the rarity of it, the color, the way it's set up from factory, the roll cage, the water injection, and the way it handles. One of my favorite BMWs. I absolutely love this car.
Hi, how's it going? My name is Andre Placencio. This is my E46 M3 pre-LCI. I mean, I guess what got me into this car was basically the heritage of BMW. It's just so much history in M Sport, and I guess I grew up on, like everybody else, seeing Fast and Furious and just seeing their dream cars go by, and then you get further and further down the rabbit hole of looking at what cars you want to drive, and then you find out. You just find out the certain car that you want to drive, and I guess I went the route of BMW, you know, just learning about all their race history and heritage against Mercedes, Porsche, learning about everybody out there. I mean, I can say that I met a great group of people through the car community. This is the car I definitely keep for the rest of my life. Definitely a car for life.
My name's Gabriel. This is my 2003 E46 BMW M3. It's got a ESS supercharger, a Koni suspension, and a Rotorific brake kit. I've had it for about 2 years now, and I really love it. I got it before it was too expensive, so I think I made a good decision, and I'm just happy with the car.
This is a 1988 BMW M5, and this has become my favorite car of all cars I've ever owned. It was originally bought by my cousin in Little Rock, Arkansas in 1988. Actually, maybe in 89. I think it sat on the dealer lot for a little bit. And he picked up the car, still lives in Little Rock, and he, even though it was billed the fastest sedan sold anywhere in the United States at the time, he decided he wanted to make it faster. So he shipped out the car to Frank Fahey Motorsports in San Diego and had all sorts of work done, including a complete rebuild on the motor, the fixie wheels, lowered suspension, exhaust, headers, all sorts of things, a lot of it custom made, strut tower brace, etc. My cousin, this car had never been garaged the entire time he owned it. It wasn't until I got it that it finally got a little garage spot. It was repainted at one point, original color, and currently the car has 204,000 miles on it. And it is the best car I've ever owned or driven.
My name is Evan Sawyer, and this is my 1999 996 C2 6-speed. I actually purchased this about a year ago in the heart of the pandemic from a fellow Checkered Flag 200 Club member, Steve, and I saw it at the Malibu Cars and Coffee. I thought it was absolutely stunning, beautiful, and we worked out a deal. It's one of the first 996s, and hence first water-cooled 911s delivered in the U.S., probably one of the first 100. It is manual, no power, no traction control, no stability control, throttle cable car. And over the last year, I've taken it upon myself to modify it a little bit. I put in GT3 bucket seats from the 996 GT3. I've spaced it out a little bit with some spacers, upgraded the brakes, as well as made it a little bit louder and did some suspension work. But overall, I've really enjoyed the ownership experience. It's extremely clean, as you can see, and has about 54,000 miles. Evan Sawyer, my Instagram is 62, not 63, and happy to tell you more about the car on Instagram.
How you doing? My name's Harry Otto, and this is my 96 993 Porsche Carrera. Love it. Had it for about 20 years now. Bought it with 21,000 miles on it, and I've got 50,000 on it now. Take it sparingly around, but I do love driving it. Great car. Take care of it. Shine it up. And I have a lot of fun with my little buddy when we go for a ride.
My name's Henry Rosenblatt, and this is my 996 Carrera 4S, 2002. It's a great car. The handling, the all-wheel drive is spectacular. The thing about Porsche for me is the legacy and the DNA design language around all the vehicles. The car is fun to drive. It's fantastic. Really enjoy it every time I get in a road trip or what have you. And Porsche, definitely is one of them.
What's up, guys? This is 991.1. It's a race Carrera with a GT3 front bumper. This is key sled. Has a Soul Performance exhaust, headers. It's manual. Has a roll cage, four-sided diffuser. And it has the wheels are rolling forward. It's kind of cool. Pretty clean, pretty cool. about the Carrera. Yeah, man.
So this is a 991 GT4, 2016. We made these in a 6-speed. And yeah, it's a super fun car to drive. I actually daily drive it. It has about 40,000 miles on it. And yeah, it's a blast to drive.
I'm Randy Sherwood. This is my 2015 Aston Martin Vantage GT, known in every other country in the world as the N430. They figured Americans probably don't know what the Nürburgring is, so we got a different name here. This was one of my dream cars. I always wanted to have an Aston Martin. That was always going to be my picture of success, was driving to work in my Aston Martin, and then I got this and I work from home, so I don't get to actually attain my dreams there. I do daily it. It's got 30,000 miles on it, 38,000 miles on it now actually. It's done over 150 laps on the track with me. It's a fantastic track car, great balance from front to rear, very neutral handling, manual transmission, which is part of the reason that I went with the N430 here. It's basically a Vantage S with a manual transmission and a bunch of the options stripped out to make the car a little bit lighter. So it's been a blast to drive ever since. I'd say that the most interesting thing about ownership has been how few people know about this car. I've had people come up at car shows and they'll bend over and read the badge and say, oh, it's an Austin Healey. It's actually happened. I've had people think it's a new Genesis because of the wing badge. I've had people in drive-thrus think it's a Chrysler. My wife has had to correct people who called it a Bentley at car shows, telling them it's an Aston Martin. She's getting great at correcting people on that one. So that's the downside of Aston Martin ownership, is that they're so rare that people just don't know what they are. But for the people that know them and own them, it's a huge privilege and a blast to drive.
Hi, I'm Christian. This is my 68 Jaguar E-Type. I bought it maybe 5 years ago. Always loved the look of them, and I didn't think I would like it as much as I did, but I just, the more I drove it, the more I fell in love with it, and I don't think I'll ever sell it. I think I'll just enjoy driving it.
I'm Ken Harris.
And I'm Marla Harris.
We're from Oxnard, California, which is right down the road. And we're showing our 74 TR6. Actually, it was my wife's car in high school. Her dad has a 73 TR6. He passed away, and so now my son has it. But the 74 we put back together, had it painted, had it redone, and we're just trying to tool around in it. It's not a show car, just a little fun car for us to get away. So we're having a good time at the Petersen today, and thank you for letting us share.
This is my 1975 Triumph TR6, as evidenced by the license plate, which was forgotten so people wouldn't always ask me. And I've had this car for 24 years approximately. Most reliable, knock on wood, old car I've ever owned. Only left me stranded once a couple of weeks ago. Simple rotor cap points. And this thing is a daily driver kind of a car, and I love it.
Hi there, my name's Dennis Glavis. I have a Morgan dealership, Morgan West, and this is my Morgan three-wheeler. It's a 2013 V-twin. It was a special edition called the Brooklands Edition, named after the racetrack that Morgan originally held most of the world records at back in 1910, 1911, thereabouts. And this is serial number 1 of, they did 13 with polished aluminum bodies for the world. I just kept this one because I think it's gorgeous. It's nothing in the world is more fun to drive than a Morgan three-wheeler. It just makes every day a great day. It's got that monstrous V-twin, lots of vibration, but incredible torque, 80 horsepower. It weighs a little over 900 pounds, so it's got great acceleration. Top speed is about 125. I've had it to 115. I drive it over 100 all the time, conditions permitting. Charles Morgan, I loaned him my Super Dry to run the Gumball Rally in 2012. He won the Gumball Rally, the Spirit of the Gumball Rally award with it, and he did 125 through the Mojave Desert on the final leg, coming to LA, starting on the East Coast, and never broke. You know, I mean, they're just wonderful machines. They use a 5-speed Miata gearbox, which is arguably the best manual transmission in the world. It's smooth, it's short shifts, it's belt drive to the rear through a bevel box. The Brooklands has this wonderful fishtail Brooklands exhaust that the three-wheelers and motorcycles, because these raced in the motorcycle class. Mostly Norton was their main competitor, and all the Nortons had the fishtail and the huge collector box. It's got a Mike Limpert steering wheel instead of the Brooklyn steering wheel because I love his work and I love big wood steering wheels. I've put about 5,000 miles on it, probably another 5,000 on other three-wheelers, but it's my baby. What can I say? It's I'm an enthusiast first, dealer second, and one begets the other. So get yourself a three-wheeler. It just makes life that much more thrilling and enriched. That's all I can say. It's great.
Hi there, this is Dalen Corey. I'm here at the Petersen Automobile Museum for the British Invasion with my friend Yanni, who's over here to my left. This is a 1968 MGB GT. We've got about 155,000 miles on it. We got a paint job 5 years ago, and new brakes, new rear suspension, bushes, tires, wheels, all the good stuff here. It's got a 4-speed with overdrive as well, and this is an amazing car to be able to just drive and drive and drive. And out here in LA, it's a fun thing. It spreads joy. People see it, they wave, they honk, park it in the front wherever you're going. And in the front seat here, I've got Couillon driving. Couillon is the name my mother gave me in Louisiana, because in Cajun French it means a fool. So you're welcome to take a look around and take a look.
Hi, I'm Chad Haynes. This is my 72 43, and it's got a 5-liter out of a Mustang in it. Some small mods to it, just heads, intake, exhaust. It's built to be a rallycross car. The color is actually a wrap that I did by myself first time trying. It's the Audi Gray. Did my own carbon fiber work on it too. Titanium exit exhaust, fuel cell in the rear. And yeah, it's gonna be slaying some dirt pretty soon, so this is kind of my passion project.
Hi, my name is Jorge Espinosa, and this is my car. It's a 2008 Lotus Exige S240. It's actually my silver lining from the pandemic. I was actually able to finally buy my dream car. There's a couple modifications to it. I had to change the track pack suspension from the stock to a Nitron double adjustable suspension. It's been amazing. Other than that, there are also some new harnesses inside for when I do autocross. This car is amazing. It handles like there's on another level. I used to have a Lancer Evolution 10, and I thought that was insane. This thing grips, and it grips so hard. I have yet to hit the limits of this car, but this car is amazing. It's just for the car enthusiasts. Like there's AC, there's a radio, that's it. There's no Bluetooth, there's no navigation, there's nothing. It's still analog speedometer. There's no power steering. It's really a car for somebody who loves engineering and the ability to just kind of keep something simple and just grip. It's just awesome. I love it. It's been an amazing 2 years since I've had the car, and I'm not looking back. I'm keeping this, and when I get too old and everything starts hurting, probably donate it to the Petersen.
Hi, this is Zach from the YouTube channel Zach and Wyatt. This is my 1967 Ford Anglia. I love it very much. I try to keep it kind of original-ish condition. It's got a ITG air filter because I'm a child, and you know, I put a Weber on it with 1500 GT, you know, intake manifold and everything. It's just a fun little car. I don't know. It's my baby.
Hi, my name's Ralph. I'm the owner of the 2007 Lotus Exige S in front of you. It's titanium gray in its color. I've owned it for about 9 or 10 years at this point. It's set up with most of the bolt-on components, bringing the horsepower up to about 260 horsepower. It's got Cup race car wheels on it from the Cup cars in 2008, I believe. And I just love it. It's an awesome go-kart, and it's so much fun to drive. And if you haven't had a chance to get yourself behind the wheel of an Exige, you really should.
Hey, how's it going? I'm Ben, and this is my 2021 McLaren Gran Turismo GT. Something special about this car is it's Cirrus Gray, so if you get real close on here, you can see there's actually like a blue flake. It looks almost white, but the car is actually gray, and there's a blue flake that comes with it when it hits the sun, so I really love the color of the car. One of the really cool features I love about this car is the fact that you have a lot of storage space. You got a full trunk in the front, in the front of the vehicle. In the back, hopefully it works. Oh, look at that! You could fit 2 full-size golf clubs in here. Bags. So that's a really nice feature. The window is almost 5 feet long. It goes from front to back of the car, and the whole roof is also glass on this. Something I like about it is obviously it's an everyday. You could drive it every day. It doesn't beat you up. And yeah, it's just a really great car. I love it.
Hello all, my name is Michael, and this is my 1990 Nissan Skyline GTR R32. She is a 20,000 mile original car, completely stock as Nissan intended. Everything's intact from its 4-wheel steering to the rear wheel steering and the 4-wheel drive system. And she has been just an absolute pleasure to own. I found it, funnily enough, I knew these cars would become legal when the 25-year law was coming into effect, and I did everything in my power to sell a couple things and convince the wife that this was a good deal. And it sounds cheesy as heck, but I found it on eBay of all places at a place called Phase 9 Motorsports down in Anaheim. And I was at work, and I decided one day I'm gonna give him a call and let's make this happen. And he had 3 cars for sale, this one being one of the 3. Gave him a ring and said, "Hey, anything available?" And he's like, "Yeah, they're all available. Why don't you meet me at a Starbucks down here at Ball Road in Anaheim?" So I'm call a buddy up. "Hey, what are you doing Monday?" And he's like, "Nothing. I'm gonna get in the car. You got something to do now." So we go down there and sit in a Starbucks, and I've been playing with cars most of my life, so I had, you know, magnets, flashlights, towels, everything to make sure this car was tip-top when it rolled up. And sure enough, this car rolled up with a white one that the owner of the company owned. And there it was in Starbucks, under this car, in this car, checking lights, doing everything I could to see if anything was wrong with her, and nothing was wrong with her. Took her for a test drive and knew from that minute that this car was coming home. Fortunately for me, it was Memorial Day, so no banks were open, so he was real cool, and I said, "Hey, can I bring you a check later?" And he's like, "Tell you what, here's the keys, here's the paperwork from the docks. I'm parking the car at my place, come back tomorrow." So I told my buddy, "Hey, what are you doing tomorrow?" And he's like, "Nothing." I'm like, "Well, guess what you're doing tomorrow?" So we went back down, drove the car, and I took it home. And I think the funniest thing was I had my phone on speaker, and I told him, "Hey, tell me when I hit 80, because this car's in kilometers, not miles." And he gets me like, "Okay, there it is." So now I know 120 kilometers per hour is 80 miles per hour, and I've owned her ever since. She's a Cars and Coffee local here, and I will be passing this one on to my kids. She's not going anywhere out in my clutches, but hope you enjoy my R32 Skyline GTR.
Hello, how are you guys doing? My name is Shahar, and this is my 1993 Mazda RX-7 FD. Rotary engine, 13B, inspired by the Fast and Furious Dominic Toretto's car. I grew up being a fan of the franchise, really like JDM, really like the Velside brand. The whole car is basically Veilside body kit, Veilside wheels, Veilside wing, steering wheel, shift knob, pedals, everything I could get my hands on. Took me pretty much about 2 years to build it. All the parts are discontinued from the probably early 2000s and late 90s, so everything has to be sourced like used parts and restored and so on and so forth. Car drives amazing. Obviously, it's an RX-7. It's a dream car for a lot of people. Underglow by the OG company that was back in the day, Street Glow decals by Modern Image. The same guys that did the decals on the movie cars. They're still around. They're in San Diego. They did the decals on my car. Just enjoying it ever since. Amazing car to drive. I track it every once in a while. I get to bring it to shows so people like you can enjoy it. Give me a follow on Instagram, The Vipers Guy, and yeah, thank you so much.
I'm from Orange County, California. I have a 71 240Z, been convertibilized. Has subtle Z flare kit from Z-Trix. L28 motor now with ITBs, Electromotive, Borla intake, direct fire. Come around the back, you can see that we have a soft top that folds up inside, comes out of the boot. Custom dash, made by Z-Trix also. Did not come with the gauges, those are Dakota digital gauges, and a 32-inch I Did It steering column. On the back side, we have a little bit of customization with some, aluminum beauty rings for just some regular trailer taillights are what they are. They came out pretty good. A little foam and fiberglass work back there. And that's about my car.
Hello, my name is Taylor. I have a 1997 Nissan 240 SX, also known as the Koki model. I've had it for about 10 years now. I've shipped it all around the country to go drifting. Full M Sports kit, still the stock motor in it. What's known as U-Lug wheels, which are worth about $4,000. The right seat inside of it, full custom suspension, the whole nine. I love the car, and I'm a huge Japanese car guy.
Hello, my name is Cesar Diaz. This is my 1992 300ZX. It has an LS3 swap with a single turbo that I just finished building. It makes about 600 horsepower. It's nice body all around. It's all the stuff that's in here is like Japanese. So I got everything from Japan. I imported the bumper from Japan, from Mission, Japan. The fenders are 20 millimeters wider. The rear is from Twin Z Peru. It's just been my private drive for the last 4 years. And come check us out.
Hi, my name is Nelson. This is my 1995 325 IS. I've had it for a while. It's a hand-me-down from my father. So you can see I did a little bit of cosmetic modifications to it. Nothing to the engine. It's all original engine. I just added an M3 bumper. Painted the trims. Lowered it with BBS and HRs, and just got some nice rims to it. Everything is almost original, paint's almost original except for the bumper and the trim, obviously, but it's a low mileage car. I only drive it maybe on weekends. And right now I think it's approaching about 85 miles, 85K. Other than that, she's just something special. It's my first love, since it's from my father, so kind of hold on to it, hopefully pass it down to my kids.
Hi, my name is Chris Buckley, and this is my 1963 Mercedes 190 SL. Why do I love this car? I took pictures of it the other day, and I walked entirely around the car, and I couldn't find a single bad angle on the car. Of all the cars I've ever had, it's probably the prettiest car. Not the fastest car, but the prettiest car. It was restored by Bruce Adams, who quite literally wrote the book on restoring Mercedes 190 SLs, and unfortunately Bruce passed away in January, so there probably won't be any more Bruce Adams restored 190 SLs. The other thing I love about this car is most of them are silver or black or sort of Ferrari red, and this is a really nice, what Mercedes creatively calls medium red. So it's rare car, rare color, and they don't make them like they used to anymore, and that's why I love this car.
Hi, I'm Steve Carabas. This is my 1973 Volkswagen Super Beetle convertible. I've had it for 22 years, and I'm the second owner. It's always been an East Coast car until I moved to California, and it's a pretty true survivor.
My name's Gary Silvers, and this is a Gallardo Bicolore. Bicolore means two-tone. It was a limited production Lamb. It's an 11. And before this, I had a 400 GT 2+2 that I wound up selling, which was a mistake. And I got this. I love the car, and it gets driven on the weekends. And, Lambs are a special car. I've got a letter from Lamborghini that he apologized for not being at the plant when I picked up my 400 GT in Italy in 1967. So it's sort of a rare letter.
We're Willem and Case Smith. We're brothers, and we built this car. It was the BMW that we always wanted them to make, but they never quite did. So we started a company. It's called Smith Vehicle Engineering, and we took elements from the early 2000s BMW that we loved and put it into one car. So we started with the E86 M Coupe platform, added all carbon fiber body panels in our own design. The S65 out of the E90 M3, stroked out to 4.4 liters. It's running a carbon airbox, all custom headers. It's built from the ground up to be the car that we always wish that they had made, and we're very happy with it.
Hey, how's it going? Scott Chestnut with a 1970 GTO Judge Ram Air 4 4-speed. This is the top of the line, what people like to have, and it's what I always wanted. I saw one of these when I was 15 years old and never forgot the sound of the engine. And later in life, was able to find this one in the color I wanted to. So this is a dream come true, really, and I'm enjoying the car. And I've made a few modifications with fuel injection and some other things to make it even more drivable in today's world. And it's just great. The car hobby allows you to have these works of art and enjoy them, driving them.
Hey, my name is Arthur Richards. I have a 70 Chevy Nova. Pretty much me and my wife and my brother-in-law restored it. Took it from the dead because it was a rust bucket. I put a 454 in it with a small cam and headers. And it's a tire fryer. It's really fun to drive.
Here we got the Lucid Air. This is mine. I am not working for Lucid. People are always asking me how to work. I'm just passionate. I'm a Tesla guy. No offense to Tesla. This is the next part of the revolution. For over 500 miles on a charge. This is a 6,200 pound beast that goes 0 to 60 in 2.5 seconds. It has so many amazing features. Huge front, huge back seat, but the luxury is sine qua non. The smooth ride is amazing, and the truth is we're here at Sunset GT with amazing hypercars. I guarantee you all these guys will be going home, buying this car and using it as their daily. It's that good. Thank you very much, Petersen Museum. Thank you, Team Max.